Hi, my name is YahNé Ndgo. I am an outreach coordinator and a member of the coordinating committee for the Black Alliance for Peace. The Black Alliance for Peace, or BAP, is a black anti-war formation created to reinvigorate the important legacy of the voice, leadership, and insight of the black liberation community in the anti-war and anti-imperialist movement. And the discussions and work against war and imperialism, BAP is centering the impact on African and indigenous communities worldwide with the goal to ensure black voices help drive the measurable, tangible dismantling of their effects in all our communities, locally and abroad. Please make it a point to visit www.blackallianceforpeace.com to learn more about BAP. And that's also where you can join BAP as a member or a supporter. On January 26th of this year, our membership released a statement regarding the necessity for us to oppose U.S. intervention in Venezuela. I'm going to read that statement now. We, the members of the Black Alliance for Peace, uphold our political stance in the face of aggression waged by the United States. Two of BAP's core principles are an unwavering commitment to self-determination for peoples and nations alike, and opposition to imperialism in all its varied and brutal forms. Therefore, unlike so many who are confused about Venezuela, we say without equivocation that we oppose the illegal and immoral attempts by the United States and their Organization of American States allies to interfere in the internal affairs of Venezuela. No objective right has been bestowed upon the United States to impose its will on any sovereign people or nation. We categorically reject the arrogant and white supremacist assumption that the United States, itself a capitalist dictatorship, should arbitrarily take the liberty to presume leadership and rationalize its intervention into any nation by evoking a flimsy, laughable, and ostensible argument that it is supporting democracy and or human rights. Were it not for the abject hypocrisy exercised by the United States, the irony in the case of Venezuela would be more laughable than tragic. On one hand, a nation annually pretends to honor the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., but skirts over the many people's understanding that he was murdered because of his opposition to U.S. state violence. That the United States would unleash a plan to subvert Venezuela, which will cost thousands of innocent lives, reminds us as black people of the same methodology applied during the murderous and draconian tenure of FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover, who unleashed the COINTELPRO program in the U.S. and U.S. black communities. Militarized U.S. police forces, many of whom have received training from the Israeli state, enjoy impunity for the state-sanctioned execution of our people. Like the war party that it was during the Vietnam War period, the majority of Democrats have dropped their supposed fundamental opposition to Trump to line up in support of this criminal intervention. As always, the party of the people demonstrates its brand of subjective righteousness and justice. We pose the question to progressive forces in the United States. How much more war, how much more death and destruction will you endure before you break with the capitalist duopoly of your government and say no more war, no more subversion, no more killings in my name by a state that by every definition has become a rogue state and threat to global humanity? There can be no equivocation in the face of injustice and the psychopathology of white supremacist ideology that is unable to respect the rights and humanity of the people of the global majority, black and brown people who are the ones who suffer from these imperialist adventures mobilized by the U.S., EU, NATO axis of domination. The idea of a benevolent hegemon might be a comforting myth that assuages the conscience of left and progressive forces who engage in open class-race collaboration with the white supremacist colonial capitalist patriarchy that is the Western European project. But for those of us relegated to what Frantz Fanon called the zones of non-being, we cannot afford any illusion about the nature of what we are up against. We call on those principled individuals and organizations located at the center of empire to put aside your divisions, stop your collaboration with the rulers, and live up to your responsibility to the people of the world who suffer at the hands of this mad criminal state. Now is the time to say no. Now is the time to build our movement. Now is the time for all of us who say we believe in peace to be ready to fight for justice. Hands off Venezuela. Stop U.S. subversion and lawlessness. Close U.S. and NATO bases. U.S. out of Africa. Shut down AFRICOM. It's time for you to join us. on the right side of justice.